message on your screen. You can go ahead and hit OK or got it. And now I'm move out the way and bring up Nurse Alice to take us through our session today. Nurse Alice, take it away.
All right. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really glad you chose to spend this time with us focusing on your health. Now, every January, I've said it, you've said it, you've heard someone say it, New Year, new me, New Year, new me. And then you have all these plans and thoughts and ideas of what you're going to do differently in this new year as you try to reclaim your health. And all that's great. It can be motivating, inspiring. It also can add a lot of pressure and may set up some unrealistic expectations. And so it can make it challenging for someone to adhere to all of the changes, especially if plentiful and the goals are uh, very grand to adhere to it. So I want to paint a different perspective today. It's not healthy living isn't about becoming someone new. It's about supporting the body you already have at the stage of life that you're in right now. Because the 20-year-old Alice, the goals for her are going to be different from the 40-year-old Alice versus the 50-year-old Alice. So we also need to allow reality to set in and say, listen, this is the pot of clay that I have. What kind of beautiful pottery can I create with what's in front of me? So today's session, we're going to go through healthy habits that span across a lifespan. So you might fit in one category now, and then this can help you forecast what you can anticipate as you maintain a new you or a healthier you from every year from moving forward. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward, but we are going to get into how to feel, function, and live healthy at any age. All right. So just a disclaimer before we begin, I want to clarify that today's presentation, this is information for educational purposes only. It's designed to help you better understand how lifestyle habits can influence your health. And I'm hoping that this information empowers you to evaluate what your current health status is, what you're currently doing, maybe your family, make it a group activity, and then talk to your healthcare provider about things as you look to maybe expanding your exercise program, changing some nutritions, especially if you're someone who has other medical conditions going on, because those things can influence the plan that you set forth in your pursuit to be healthy. You might try to do something healthy, but it counters maybe a medication or something you're doing. So we don't want any of that to happen. So information only to empower you to talk to your healthcare provider. This is me. I am Alice Benjamin. I am a family nurse practitioner. I currently work in the emergency room and do family medicine. Prior to that, I worked in critical care. Cardiovascular was my specialty. And I've been in healthcare for now 20, coming up on 27 years. That's that healthy living, y'all. That's what that is. Um, I also the founder of AskNurseAlice.com, which is a health and wellness platform, and a longtime ambassador and volunteer with with AARP. And I have thoroughly enjoyed this. I think how many years now have I been working with AARP?
At least 10?
Yeah, at least 10. I'm gonna say it's closer to 11, 12 maybe,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
who's
yeah.
counting? All right, so let's jump in today. Oh, and I also want to say, please, if you have any questions, comments, feel free to share them in the chat box. What happens in chat stays in the chat, y'all. Okay, but if it's very personal and you don't want it, wouldn't want it broadcasted anywhere, then maybe not share it or at least be more vague about it in the chat box. But I'm going to try to answer as many of your questions as we go through. If I don't see them, or if I don't answer it right away. I may have not seen it, or I might be able reserving it towards the end or to an upcoming topic. Okay. So in the chat box, who here has established some New Year's resolutions about getting healthy? And maybe put what it is, whether it's exercise more, eat healthier, stop smoking, moderate my alcohol intake, whatever the case may be. Just kind of curious. What are we, or lose 10 pounds? Okay, exercise, less sweets. Okay. So gain 10 pounds. Oh, you know what, Susan? Thank you for saying that. Gain 10 pounds in a healthy way. Because we're going to talk about that because weight gain has a perception to be labeled as unhealthy. But when you lose the fat and you gain muscle mass, you will gain weight in a healthy way. So I like that. Okay, so I think it's really important. We've already kind of talked about New Year's resolutions. People set these ambitious goals, overhaul routines, and they commit to major changes. And research consistently shows that nearly 80% of New Year's resolutions fail within the first couple of months. Um, because it's not just about people lacking discipline or willpower. It's because the expectations are often unrealistic or unsustainable. So I think it's like just back to the drawing board with what I want to do for myself. Because too many of them are extreme. Extreme dieting, which I don't advocate for any extreme dieting or yo-yo dieting. Um, and we'll get into maybe some discussion about the weight loss injectables because I do feel there's a place for those type of things. Sometimes extreme exercise. Listen, you cannot exercise in 1 week what your body took 40 years to gain. Okay, so let's we also got to be realistic about that and setting rigid rules where I'm not going to eat this, I'm not going to do that, and then you're just over here unhappy, not liking life because you want to be healthy, but in the pursuit of being healthy, you've made yourself miserable. So from a physiological standpoint, the body doesn't respond well to extremes. It responds to consistency. Um, baby steps baby steps. So you got to crawl before you walk. But I promise if you do these things and you do them consistently, you will see change. You just have to, I think, and we'll get into the mindset of when I'm doing these things these hard things, let's be honest, they're hard things, right? Because if you didn't exercise and exercise, that's hard. I got to find the time. I got to, what feels like torture my body, feel these aches and pains, all because of what? So, but we're gonna get into that. But it's not about doing everything perfect or forever, but it's about adapting your habits to support your energy, your health, and your well-being as your body changes over time, because it will have different needs at different times of your life. So, um, our daily habits impact every system of our body. Nutrition affects metabolism, our cardiovascular health, our immune system, and our energy levels. And so when we look at habits, and let me just say, let me ask, what is a habit? A habit is something that you do on a regular basis, almost subconsciously, almost that you don't think about it, right? So this is a habit. We want health, the things that contribute to a healthier you, to be just that, right? To be effortless almost, or just a part of things. Like you don't even have to think twice about it. I'll tell you this, my alarm clock goes off at 5 in the morning and I'm thinking, oh, I gotta exercise. Oh, like that is laborious. That is a internal struggle and a fight with me against me about getting up out of my bed to go exercise before I go to work. But over time, now it's become to, oh, 4:58. My body just woke up on its own, knowing what it has to do. We want those type of things to become habits. Healthier food choices, getting more sleep, how you manage your stress. When you're presented with a tray full of desserts, like taking one versus, oh, let me try the chocolate, the vanilla, the strawberry. Oh, you got cheesecake too? We want all of that to just become natural. And so when it comes to habits, large public health studies consistently show that improving these habits reduces the risk of chronic conditions like heart disease, diabetes, depression, and even falls. And those are things that um, may happen later in life, may happen earlier in life. Depends on how well you take care of your vessel. So there's no age at which healthy habits stop being beneficial. Never say, oh, it's too late. I'm already X years old. It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. It does matter. The day you start is the day it begins to matter. And so the body remains responsive to this positive input throughout our lifespan. Okay, well, let's get into these four pillars of healthy living. I don't think that these are a surprise to anyone. When these come up, we have nutrition, physical activity, sleep, and mental health. And these are all deeply interconnected. And so while you can work on one of these sectors, you can't really optimize one while neglecting the other because that gain while neglecting the other and that negative, they're going to cancel out. So it's really hard to be healthy if you say, you know what, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to eat healthy, but I'm going to continue to smoke. You're eating right, you're exercising, but you're still smoking. So these are things that that really work hand in hand. So Like for example, and put in the chat box, how many hours of sleep are y'all getting? How many hours of sleep? Five, Marley. Okay. Seven, 7 to 9. Susan got it going on over there. Go ahead, Susan. 6 to 7, 16. Okay, sporadic. Unfortunately. Okay, well, listen, Mindy, naps are not a bad thing. Naps, if you can take them. I miss kindergarten days because that seems like that's the only time I could have ever taken a nap. Marlene, waking up every 3 hours. Okay. So you got to know what you're working with, right? So if you think of sleep as I know everything's going to feel like gasoline in your tank, but your body needs sleep, right? Sleep is a lack of sleep can contribute to a flood of stress hormones that go out in our body. It can increase inflammation. It can deplete our immune system. If you feel fatigued, tired, and you're just feeling blah, there's no time to recharge your cells. So sleep is important. Now, for the average adult, I hate to say average, right, but anywhere between 7 to 9 sleeps is generally what someone needs. Now, I will say there's a small amount of people who can get away with less sleep, but it does eventually put them in a sleep deficit, and they're going to be impacted in some way. So you do need to rest. Now, if you sleep in excess of 9 to 10 hours, if it's once in a while, listen, we've all had those days, but if it's consistently, then there might be something with, there is such a thing as also too much sleep, right? We got to evaluate like what's going on, but you need sleep. You need nutrition. You need to be eating healthy foods. Um, and I know you've probably seen a lot on social media talking about protein, right? Everyone's like, oh, keto, no carbs, no carbs. Everyone's focused on the carbs because they think the carbs are going to cause them to gain weight. Now, eating excessive carbs are needed for energy. Your body absolutely needs carbs. And when someone says, I understand there's a lot of science around keto, keto does have its place. But if you're consistently avoiding carbs, you're depriving your body of important sources of energy and fiber that it needs. Because fruits and vegetables have fiber in them. So like where else are you going to get those things? But nutrition is important. Fresh fruits and vegetables, lean meats, oh, proteins, that's where I was going. Proteins are important. So if that's something that you've not looked at, we're going to get a little bit into protein because those things are needed for like let's say I'm going to exercise, right? And they're like, well, and we talk about how muscles build. We stress a muscle by working it, so there are mighty micro tears, and then all of the hormones and the mediators come there and they repair the micro tears. But then as they do it, they get bigger, expand. So that's how the muscles get bigger, right? Protein is essential. Protein is essential for your muscles. And even if you're not trying to build muscle, to prevent muscle wasting. And as we age, that is something that inevitably happens. You can't stop that. We just can't stop that. The loss of bone density, muscle wasting. Well, let me say this. We can't stop what Mother Nature is going to do to us, but we can preserve as much as possible and we can try to build. So nutrition is important. We talked about sleep, exercise. We're going to get into some activities because um, what are the types of exercise I should be doing? There's been so much focus on cardio, right? And American Heart Association has done a great job with cardio because heart disease is the leading cause of death. We don't want people to die of that, so let's do some cardio, aerobic activities like walking and those type of things. Well, walking is great. I'm not saying don't do the cardio, but what I'm saying is when you do cardio, maybe you throw on a 2 pound ankle weight to your ankles to cause more it's a stress to your bones in a good way. When your bones feel have to work, your muscles and bones have to work a little harder. That strength training that they talk about, that actually helps to build your muscles, and it signals to the bones like, hey, you got a lot to live, lots going on here. We need to build more bone cells, and so that actually helps decrease your risk for osteoporosis, right? And then mental well-being. Listen, you can your mindset is everything. If you are stressed, worried, anxious, which a lot's going on in the world today, it's hard not to be. It's hard not to be. I agree. We can only control what we can control, but there are some things that we can possibly be better at controlling. And some of that is, I'm not saying turn off your TV and not be in tune with what's going on in the world, but some of this, we call it, what's it, doom scrolling that they say, you're on the phone, you're in bed. You're supposed to be in bed, lights off, but you got the light from your phone and you're scrolling, and you're seeing all these things. Sometimes we have to protect our peace like that and in how we engage with certain people and how we, there are things that we need to maybe look at as we manage our stress and then also the demands that are on our schedule, right? Um, I got to work, I got to pay the bills. Yes, but did you really need to do all of that in one sitting? I mean, that work is going to be there tomorrow. The deadline for it is Friday. Today is Tuesday. You're good. Sometimes you just got to just cut the cord on some things to preserve yourself. All right. So those are the four pillars of healthy living that we're going um, to really be focused. But what I wanted to say is these things collectively, they all work symbiotic to one another. And so if we're going to want to stay healthy, um, it's important that as we evolve, we look at our bodies, our schedules, and sometimes we need to change some of our responsibilities because if you're not in good health, not happy, not feeling good, you may, there's a quality of life that I believe that many people want. When people say, "Oh, I want to live a long life," I think they sometimes leave out the word a long, happy life, a long quality life. And being in healthcare, I've seen a lot of people, medicine and science are making it so that people can extend their life as long as possible. Now, but there are some things it's like I don't know if that person would want to live that long in that capacity. So, I mean, we get into some murky waters with what people want for themselves, but asking yourself, what do you want for your health? And if you can do something about it, what are we going to do about it? So, let's talk about early adulthood, building your foundation. Now, I'm just curious, what age range do you think early adulthood is? What do we say that is? Because I was doing this and I was like, wait a minute. Who determined these age ranges for some of the things we're going to go over? Because I feel, okay, okay, 20. Okay. So, okay. Okay. So who said that? Is that Susan again? Okay. No, okay, Belinda. Belinda, you got it. About your late teens to 20s, 30s. So this is early adulthood here. And so early adulthood, this is the time where um, our bodies are physically more forgiving than they are in our latter years. So here, because of school, maybe early family, jobs, people are able to skip meals, stay up late, and push their bodies to the max and still feel okay the next day. This is the one where, not that any of you all went out partying on Friday or on a Thursday night or anything, but someone who'd go out all Thursday night, stay out to the wee early in the morning, then turn around and pop up and be at work at 8 o'clock like everything is fine. Try that in your later years and see what happens. Because it's not happening for me. If I'm in bed by 8:30, I just can't, if we're not out the house by 7, don't ask me to go because it's just not going to happen. So in our early adult year, like I said, adulthood, our bodies are more forgiving, they're more resilient. The body's highly adaptable, which is a positive thing, but can contribute to negative patterns if we don't have these healthy habits ingrained in our head. So the challenges in early adulthood is inconsistency because of busy schedules, work demands, school commitments, convenience of foods. Those often take priorities over regular meals, movement, and sleep. So this is the age range where they may be more inclined to like, oh, let's just order Uber Eats, you grab whatever, right? Let's just order some food versus I like a home cooked meal because I know what's in my food, right? So like, there's some trade-offs there, but there's lots of commitments and inconsistency and things like that. And so those things, again, while those, if not checked, if not, if we don't do analysis of what's going on and really identify this, those can lay the foundation for unhealthy habits as we get older. And as we know, in the latter years, when many people will um, develop heart disease, right? It'll be diagnosed later in life. That didn't just pop up. That started here. The bricks were being laid here. So we need to identify that. And so some of this may apply to you now, or it might apply to your family members. So this is important because these are the lessons that we need to pass
Our kids' lives at risk.
at the table and eat,
Part
talk.
of the process. And
I'm seeing less and less of that. People are at the table on their phones. So we need to be having these discussions with our kids, our grandkids, and people in our circle. Um, okay, so here we go. The focus is on consistency, not intensity. So also at this stage in life, the goal isn't intensity, it's consistency. You got to be consistent. The body adapts more to regular and moderate inputs rather than sporadic. bursts of extreme effort. Because this is someone who might eat bad all week. It's like, oh, I'm going to work out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and just burn it off. It doesn't really work that way. It doesn't work exactly like that. So it's really important in our early adult years that we establish some regular meals, incorporate short bursts of movement throughout the day, or if we're not exercising regularly, and maintaining sleep. Now, these folks probably have a really hard time maintaining sleep. You got crying babies at nighttime. You have work. You have school. So many things going on here, so it could be challenging to maintain a consistent sleep and wake pattern, but it's important because that's critical for stabilizing your hormones, your energy level, and your metabolism. So, here are a few examples of these habits. They may seem simple, but they're very powerful if repeated daily. Regular meals, even if they're simple meals, not just eating when there's food present, but actually like, okay, it's what time is it? I need to eat. I need to fuel my body. And especially when we talk about eating healthy foods, like I'll mention protein. Protein is a very important macronutrient, but protein is most helpful when you spread it out. Like if I'm going to eat a protein snack or protein in my meal every 3 to 4 hours, if you just lump sum it at the end of the day and it's like, oh, well, I got all my protein for the day because I ate it one time. That's not how protein works. Protein needs to be spread out throughout the day. Short walks, movements, consistent sleep. So these are all things that are very important. Consistency, not necessarily um, intensity. So here are some steps again, like I said. Oh, did I do that? Oh, I think I did that one. Short bursts. Did I do that? Okay. I think I talked about these things already. Sleep. Oh, buffer time. Who in here builds buffer time in their schedule? Anyone like, now let's be honest. How many of you like, I got a meeting from 8 to 9, then I'm gonna do this from 9 to 10, then I'm gonna do this from 10 to 11, and then I'm gonna be at the store. So I'm from like, there's no buffer. There's no buffer room. You got to leave buffer time in there because and this is again, I'm maybe getting a little ahead of it. As we age, we get a little slower to recover and transition. I don't know about you, but I can't just spring out the bed anymore. I'm like, okay, let me sit here, let me rub my knees, get the knees warmed up, and then I'm gonna get up. Right? I just can't spring and pop up. So having buffer time to allow us the time to transition from one activity, reset ourselves, get centered, and then refocus on what it is next we're going to do and allow ourselves some grace in there, a snack, something to eat, but just take back some mental real estate for yourself. Because we're giving to all these activities, but where are you reclaiming your mental health, your space, your time? Even if it's just like, let me go outside for 10 minutes. I'll do that now. After a meeting, I'll go like, especially if I'm at home and it's online, I'll get up. I'll say, okay, let me take this 10 minutes and I'm gonna go outside and water my plants so I can get some sunlight, hear the birds, just a change of scenery to reset yourself. All of these things are important. Now let's get to talking about sustaining through change. Now, what's midlife? What's the age range for that? And I'm almost 50. I'll be 50 knocking on the door this year. Um, Midlife. So what's the age for midlife? Okay. Yes. Okay, 40s. So midlife is 40s through 50s. Okay. Yeah, well, actually, yep. Excuse me, 40, actually 40 to late 50s. 40 to late 50s. That's what it is. Okay. I know that doesn't it just doesn't sound right. Because like that's not how I feel. I don't feel like somebody lied. Somebody lied in the books in the chat GPT, and we gotta do something about it. But you know what? If you're someone who's like, you know what, I don't feel my age, that's probably a very good sign that, you're doing some healthy things, even if you've not given yourself credit. But I will say this, midlife, um, uh-oh. Midlife, where are we at? I got sidetracked. Oh, uh-oh. Well, I can't see the screen. There we go. So midlife is where many people feel frustrated or confused. They're doing what they've always done, yet their body responds differently. Does that resonate with anybody? Like I used to be able to eat this. Now I just eat just a little bit of that and I gain all this weight. Or I used to be able, how many, I used to be able to run like that. I used to be able to do a mile. We start telling our kids these stories. They're like, yeah, mom, okay, whatever. That's it. My kids. But, things are changing. Our energy levels have shifted, recovery takes longer, and our weight may redistribute itself. And you just look down like, where'd them 20 pounds come from? Like I didn't do anything different. Where it happened? There's a lot going on in our bodies, right? And especially during this range, and I'll like use women for example, especially if you're going through perimenopause or menopause, that lack of estrogen, what happened? Like really, all of this, you didn't do anything differently. It's just Mother Nature is just running its course. So we can't run from Mother Nature, but we can try to keep up with some things health wise, right? But I want you to know that this is not a personal failure. So don't blame yourself. It's a reflection of normal biological changes that occur with aging, stress, hormonal shifts. And those are the things that we're dealing with now. If you are not getting if your nutrition, if you're still eating like, um, fast food and stuff like you did when your younger years and stuff, and not having pivoted your diet to include more whole, fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and lean meats, you might be working against yourself. If you are not um, physically being active. And again, more than cardio, strength training. I mean, like when I said you can go ahead and go for a walk, but add 20-pound ankle weights or carry, and not necessarily this much. This is a 10-pound weight, but carry like a 2-pound or a 5-pound in your hand. Or if you want to get one of those light weighted vests, just put that on and walk around. And you might say, well, I'm because you don't have to like lift heavy iron to do strength training. You can do something like that. But what that's going to do is just add that extra weight and stress to your bones so your bones and muscles stay strong. So you'll be getting the cardio and you'll be getting the strength training and getting sleep. I think sleep is one of the things that is well within our locus of control. People say it's not, but it is. Um, that's one of the things that you can actually change today. Go to bed early. Well, I'm not sleepy. Well, your body's not been conditioned that way. So you have to take the steps to make those alterations so your body naturally wants to go to sleep. If you exercise a little bit more, your body got a little bit tired, the body's gonna say, hey, I put out a lot of energy today. I need to re-up. Then your body will sleep. As I mentioned earlier, getting up at 5 o'clock used to be a chore. Like dare I say, hated it. I want to throw the phone like, Siri, snooze for 10 minutes. Siri, snooze for 10 minutes. The whole hour is gone. But now it's like, oh, it's 4:58. I wake up now before the alarm clock. So in this section, there's no alarm ringing here. Look at, see, Siri's listening to me here. Um, but we want to support long-term health. So how do we support long-term health in this era? Well, in our midlife, the habits got to be sustainable. This is not the time for chronic undereating, excessive cardio, or ignoring recovery. There's no quick fix here. Now, the focus in this age range really should shift towards preserving muscle, protecting joint health, stabilizing our blood sugars, and prioritizing sleep. And it's these habits that will support long-term health while helping you manage the demands without burning out. So, sustainability and balance are key. So I'm just going to take sleep here. You get home, some people are like, oh, I don't have time to sleep. Like, I'm so exhausted. I can't sleep. You've said how many times we've heard you say you're exhausted, you're exhausted, you're exhausted. Well, why you didn't go to sleep earlier? Well, I can't. I had to do this and I had to do that. Those dishes are not, the house is not going to burn down because you didn't wash a plate or two in the sink. Now, should I show you my kitchen sink? Because I just wasn't going to do it last night. I just wasn't going to do it. Now, these kids should be doing it, absolutely. So that's a whole nother story for them. But mama wasn't going to do these dishes. Mama was going to sleep. So it's okay. It is okay. You got to pick and choose your battles. Do you want to pick the inflammation in your cardiovascular system or the dishes? Which I'm gonna say I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do for my inner health. The dishes can wait. I can buy new dishes. I can't buy new heart. I can't buy a blood pressure. I can't buy avoiding cardiovascular disease. So I'm gonna pick the latter, and I probably should take a picture of the dishes. See, they're not even, these kids didn't even do the dishes. I'm gonna get on them, but that's a whole nother lecture for another time. So anyway, I just had to keep it real with you guys. And these are the things. Because you gotta laugh about it. If you don't laugh about it, you're gonna cry about it. And it's like, but what's more important? My health, my mental health and physical health. So I'm going to control what I can control, make light of what was and wasn't done, but at least the house didn't burn down. We're not homeless. We got food, and I'm living a healthier life. So speaking of that, protein. Who on here eats, who would say on here, well, first off, who on here tracks their macronutrients from their meals? So when I say that, that's like your protein, your carbs, and your fats. Is there anyone on here who really looks at their food like, oh, I need to make sure I have protein on my plate? Because that's where I'm going to stick with. I'm going to stick with protein today. Because we hear a lot about carbs and keto and that kind of stuff, but now we're talking about protein. Not very well. Okay. My NP has me tracking protein. I just made, okay. So I make sure I get enough protein. Now let me ask this. Who on here knows how much protein you should have a day? What is the formula to calculate how much you as an individual should have protein? And for those of you who are like, I don't really care about protein. When you compare it to carbs, if you eat a carb, a fat, and a protein, proteins are so dense, it actually takes more energy to break them down. So when you take someone who maybe is overweight and then someone who's an athlete and you put the same amount of, let's say you put a lot of food in front of both of them, one would be like, oh my gosh, I gained so much weight from that. I gained a lot of weight, but the person who's exercised, like, gosh, they eat everything and don't gain a pound because the protein that they're eating dense food, so they feel full. They feel full, and it takes more energy, so they're burning more calories as they eat. So it's about 0.8 to 1 grams of protein per pound. So I just make it simple. I like on the higher end, one gram of protein per pound. So if I'm 150 pounds, I should be having 150 grams of protein. Now that's on the higher end. You can calculate it on the lower end, especially if you're someone who doesn't eat a lot of protein. It can be hard because it's very filling. But you couple that with exercise, you're going to burn calories. It's going to melt away. So when people lose weight, well, initially when people lose weight, they lose they lose the fat. They lose fat. And so it's like, oh my gosh, you look weight, but they don't get toned. You don't see the muscle underneath. You need the protein to get to that. And that's body recompositioning. So that's why someone said earlier, gain weight in the healthy way. That's what it is. So I'm gonna just tell you all a story. I weighed 168 pounds, and then now I'm at 151. So someone would say, "Oh, Alice, you lost, was that like 19 pounds?" So there was a lot of fat there. Y'all didn't see it because I wore baggy things. I wore scrubs. Nobody could tell. I lost the weight, but then at the same time as I worked out, I I actually gained more muscle. So I actually lost the unhealthy weight and gained the healthy weight. So something you should do. Okay, good. Yes, eggs, fish, beans, chicken, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese. There are protein powders, and I know protein powders have been in the news lately. So be diligent about which brands to avoid. But having a protein shake is not a bad thing. And if anyone here has been in the hospital or knows someone who's been in the hospital and who's had poor appetites, they give them protein shakes because they know that's essential for muscle rebuilding. Add resistance. Now let me add resistance because someone's like, oh my gosh, I don't have a gym membership. I can't do that. I have a little, oh, here it is. I got a little bag here. You see this band here? I'm gonna back up. Resistance training. This little bag cost me $4.99. I got 5 different levels of resistance. You don't have a dumbbell to do that? Okay, well, there you go. Resistance training, right? So many, you can put them around your thighs and do, side to side steps. You can do resistance training for less than $4.99 with bands, okay, on Amazon. I would do that if you even take 10 minutes. Like we're sitting here, you could be watching your favorite TV show, like watching The Pit or whatever show you're watching. Okay, oh, what did Scarlett do this week? Okay, I'm getting my TV and I'm getting my exercise in, right? And then between commercial break, let me get up and march in place and let me do some side bends and stretch. You didn't got your exercise in. And sleep rituals. I'm not gonna turn down the lights, phone off or face down. Okay. Don't put it in the bed with you, put it on a nightstand. So you actually have to get up to go get the phone. Now, if someone's calling you late night, then and you need to get up, then make it more purposeful. But the the scrolling, nothing's happening on Instagram in the middle of the night. Trust me, you're not gonna miss anything. It's okay. Sleep. I know you're like, oh my gosh, she keeps talking about recovery. Yes, recovery is important because we don't bounce back. We are not elastic rubber bands. Like I said, in the morning, I sit up, I rub these knees, I warm them up, and then I get up because I cannot bounce back. But it's not just about positions change, it's also about pivoting from activities. If I've been out all day shopping, running errands, doing this and doing that, I get home, I'm tired. I don't know about you, but has anyone else? Is it just me? You get home and you're like exhausted, depleted. I just don't have that amount of energy on reserve anymore. So if you notice that you're not bouncing back from late nights or intense workouts, that's normal. It's normal. It's an adjusting. We're adjusting. So our body needs more recovering time, especially between demanding activities. And that can also be mental activities. You could be working on a project or something for work or church, and you're just like, oh my gosh. And you've been sitting all day, be like, oh, I'm so tired. We need the recovery. Listen, it sounds people. My kids will look at me like, "Mom, you didn't do anything. You're just sitting down all day. Like I could get up and just do whatever." I know my kids, but these are my kids. Ooh. But I'm working, but it really takes a lot of energy out of me and what's going on. So when we talk about, let me make sure didn't miss anything here that I want to say about recovery. Why is also let me talk about why recovery is important in case anyone's like, kind of, she's talking about recovery, but whatever. I think I'll be okay. During recovery, your our bodies repair more slowly. When even so, whether it's exercise or just activities that you're doing, it takes longer for our tissues to heal. Inflammation, when we're stressed out or ill, inflammation lingers longer than it normally would when we're younger. And then also, if you're someone who is in perimenopause or actually more so menopause, that decrease of um, estrogen is needed to support tissue repair, collagen production, and our bone health. So when that's depleted as we age, it makes it more difficult for us to heal, repair. We're more tired. And that's why women are so much higher risk for osteoporosis. So we want to prevent those things. So Mother Nature is going to do Mother Nature's thing. How do I combat that? Well, okay, Mother Nature, if you want to go left, let me make sure that I'm keeping tracks of your moves. When you go left, I'm gonna go left too. When you go right, I'm gonna go right. You're making me tired, I'm gonna get more sleep. This is to be, let me be more careful with how I exercise or move. We have to work with what the body that we're given. Okay, adulthood. What is this? Later adulthood. What's the age range? What do you all say this is? Oh, thanks, Marlene. I think there's a little bit of comedy in there. That's why. 60, 60. Yeah, 60s and 70s. So starting on six, now later adulthood. Okay, so this is a time where maintaining independence is so much a priority because our later adulthood is often framed around limitations. But that's really missing the point here. It shouldn't be focused on our limitations. This stage is about maintaining independence. Glass half full, not half empty. Glass half full. It's about maintaining independence. It's not about our limitations. We want to go in with the mindset, the positive mindset, because life is going to life. Mother Nature is going to do his or her thing. And so I have to, with the vessel I'm given, take as best care of it as possible. So, and for many of us, the goal is we want to be able to still move confidently. We want to be able to manage our daily activities and continue doing what's most important to us. We want to be happy and do the things that we want to do. And so healthy habits at this phase are not about reversing age. There's no miracle drug that's going to reverse our age. Now, there's lots of medications that are out there that can help us to look younger, right? Hair restoration, you can get all the Botox you want, plump this, plump that, make things bigger, whatever you want to do. But internally, when we look at our organs, our heart, our lung, our kidneys, our brain, there's no cosmetic surgery for those things. Those are the things that are going to be vital to help us living our latter years in a healthy and the most independent way of life. So it's about preserving our quality of life. Okay, so when we look at that, what are the activities that support our quality of life? Well, they're still the same things. It's just we're looking at them a little bit differently, right? Um, Maintaining strength. Again, focus on nutrition. Now let me ask here. Now some people now there's two trains of thought. Some people say, oh, multivitamins don't matter. Like they're so minuscule, it's not going to benefit. Does anyone on here take vitamins or any type of health? Okay. Let me tell you this. There's nothing wrong with taking a multivitamin, especially if you know or that your diet is not as well-rounded as it should. But I also want you to think about nutrition as food as medicine, right? So I'm going to take someone, for example, let's say you have high blood pressure, you're on high blood pressure medications, and you're on a water pill, a diuretic like furosemide or Bumex or something like that. That water makes you pee so you can get rid of the water, right? It's supposed to help. But if you're eating salty foods, you're countering the medication. So I want you to also look at nutrition as being very important. And again, a big heavy push on protein. Marie, no, are they healthy? Marie, so let me disclaimer. So multivitamins are not FDA approved. They don't go through the same process as like your insulin or your blood pressure medications. But for the most part, they are generally benign. There's nothing in them that are not healthy. So, or excuse me, that are not healthy, I should say. So, as a nurse practitioner, especially if someone's not eating a well-balanced meal, I'll say, well, are you at least taking a multivitamin to make sure that you're getting adequate nutrition, vitamins and minerals. But I'll say, yes, you can take that, but I also recommend, throw some blueberries in your cottage cheese. There's protein and then there's some fruit in there, fiber and, antioxidants and things like that. So, and if they were and they're so over the counter and plentiful, there's a lot more things over the counter that are a lot um that I'd be more concerned about other than multivitamins. D3, magnesium, B6. So there's, and I'll say this, multivitamins are good. And this is also an opportunity for you to talk to your healthcare provider. Oftentimes, maybe during an annual physical, especially if you present with certain symptoms, they may want to check some of these vitamin levels because deficiencies in some of these things may need to be supplemented, which may be causing other conditions. So the ones that are named there, D3, magnesium, B6, those are things that people are commonly low in. They just are. So talk to your healthcare provider about where you are, and also make sure that any medications that you're on don't counteract with the supplement that you're trying to take. So, okay. But I'm gonna say physical activity. Who on here exercises regularly, at least 3 times a week? Yes, yes. And it doesn't have to be 30 minutes solid. It can be 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening, 10 minutes lunchtime. Okay, very good. Okay. I know a lot of you all probably do cardio. A lot of people, we're good on cardio, walks, jogs, things like walking the dog, things like that. How many add strength training to it? Whether it's just holding a little weights or like bands or actual dumbbells? Who has some type of strength training in there? Planking, okay. Yoga, Pilates, okay. I actually do very okay. And I will say this, and for those people who do the walking, make sure if you're gonna walk up, climb, uphill, walk uphill. Make sure you do it, and obviously you got to come back downhill, but make sure you're doing something that is resistance. Like you really got to push through. It's not because we walk everywhere, right? Walking can actually, and I should actually let me say this: walking is not easy for everyone because especially as we age, our knees, our hips, those things can become challenging, especially when you work in arthritis and especially arthritis in the cold. So walking is not always easy. So for people like that, I would say, maybe you can walk in a pool or do some other it's hard because you need to do some weight bearing activities, but weight bearing activities can also be initially uncomfortable at first. But generally you'll get through an initial stage of discomfort as your body gets stronger. So you need to balance the two. But I would encourage cardio and strength training or resistance, and then sleep, getting that sleep. Okay. Functional movement. So this is something that's, I don't know if many people are how many people are as familiar with this word. I've actually become more familiar with this word in recent years, but we talk about exercise, people are training. Let's exercise. Because for some people, exercise is arbitrary. Like, I don't want to exercise, and that I don't want to exercise. But if you think about it as, don't call it exercise, call it functional movement. I need to learn how I need to be better at squatting because I might need to pick something up off the floor. I might need to know how to do a push-up or at least try to or a plank because I might fall down and I need to get up. What is the function of the movement that you're doing? I need to do this because I need to be a little stronger because I need to reach up to that top cabinet and get that heavy ceramic bowl. So those are the things. Or I might need to lift up my grandkid to pick him up or him or her up. So I want you to think of your exercise can sometimes like, oh, it's like a scarlet letter. But if you think of functional movement, this is really important in our latter years because it's about strength, it's about balance, and that movement, but doing it in a way where it's functional and purposeful for our lives. So that's what it's about. And especially in this latter years, we want things to be purposeful. It's not about intensity. The goal is to maintain your ability to stand, to walk, carry groceries, and move confidently through daily life. Um, yes, we want to support our cardiovascular endurance. We need balance to improve our coordination and reduce our fall risk. Remember, transition recovery, we're a little slower. So if we trip over something, it'll be harder for us to recover, right? Um, and then light resistance to preserve some of our muscle mass. Okay, nutrition for strength and immunity. Um, as we age, sometimes and you might not feel like it, but as we age, sometimes our appetite and our thirst can diminish. And many older adults unintentionally eat less protein and drink less fluid than their bodies needs. And so we need to make sure that don't just wait till you're hungry to eat. Don't just wait till you're thirsty to drink. If you think about like a car with no oil, it's going to shut down. It needs to be lubricated. Your cells, as they're doing their thing in the body, they need to be hydrated. Um, this adequate protein supports muscle maintenance, immune function, and wound healing. Hydration supports our circulation, kidney function, digestion, and cognitive clarity. Um, at this stage, it is not about restriction, it's about nourishment. Okay, and then connection and purpose. Our emotional well-being is so important. It's tied to our it's connected to our purpose. Um, we are such social beings, and isolation has immeasurable effects on us. Like think about in the pandemic when we were all isolated. There was so much depression and isolation that was happening, and it impacted our health. And many of us maybe didn't realize it at first, but and you might think, oh, this is mental health. I'm still exercising, I'm still eating nutrition, but our mental health is just as equally important. Staying connected isn't just good for our mental health, but it's a component of our overall well-being and at every age. Chronic loneliness can be associated with increased risk of depression, cognitive decline, and even premature mortality. It can. So staying engaged with a community of people that you know doesn't have to necessarily be exactly your family, your extended family, your church family, your work family, your AARP family. Um, Staying engaged, maintaining routines and participating in meaningful activities, things that mean something to you. And listen, don't be afraid to if you like gardening and you like roses, like there's in Pasadena, what's the rose garden? Go to the rose garden. Have you been to the rose garden? To just walk around and see the flowers. Maybe you'll meet someone new. Don't like this is the time where connection and purpose and enjoying being present in life is such a vital part of our mental health. And I don't think that it's something that we do enough of. And please stay off the social media comparing yourself. Don't say, oh, well, look, maybe it's your neighbor. I see the neighbor and he's over here and you're seeing him do 10 reps of this. I bet you when that camera came off, he was tired. Okay. So just don't compare yourself to someone else's highlight reel. A lot of that's, no one, it's hard. People don't always like showcasing the things that were challenging to them. Or you might see someone who's like, oh my gosh, they lost a lot of weight. But what you didn't know on the back end is that Henry has actually been exercising 3 times a week. He changed his nutrition. He goes to sleep at 8 at night, gets up at 6 in the morning, and he does it all over again. So sometimes you'll see the outcomes, but you don't see the work behind the scenes. But you don't need to compare yourself to anyone because your body is your body. This is the vessel that you have. And so let's make the most of what we have. Comparison can really, what does that say? Comparison is the worst. I don't know, there's a saying about how bad comparison. It's really it's like self-punishment. If you're busy comparing yourself to others, you're not allowing yourself the space to be who you are and to make the changes you need so you can live the life that you want to live. That's their life. Now it's time to live your life. Um, where am I gonna go with that? Okay, yeah. All right. Different seasons, different needs. So this is what we went over today. How the different life stages and what typically comes along with those things can influence our current habits and lifestyles. But it's important to keep in the back of our mind the importance of and the four pillars: sleep, nutrition, exercise, and mental health. Because in adulthood, we see the challenges building consistency in busy schedules and competing demands. Later in life, we have hard time sustaining health because we're managing caregiving. And sometimes we're caregiving for our children, our grandchildren, or sometimes our parents. So we can sometimes be sandwiched. And then also career pressures. And also worrying about, oh my gosh, I need to make sure I'm ready for this next stage in life. I got to work harder because I need to make sure I'm going to be okay when I'm older. So lots of pressures. And then in our adulthood, we really the focus, maintaining independence and the quality of life through functional habits. So if you don't like the word exercise, we can say functional movement. So the power of small, consistent habits. It's really important, guys. And we're wrapping up here. And just make sure I've got everything. Um, Habits are more likely to stick when they're small, linked to routines you may already have, and if there's things that you can track simply. So when it's a habit, when you can do it repeatedly and almost subconsciously, and it becomes a part of your daily healthy life. I have some actions here that you can do. Take a short daily walk, eating regular meals, eating consistently, not waiting too late to eat your meals, and a consistent bedtime. These are just some small, these are small things that you can probably start doing today, right? And that's what it's about. Don't say, oh, I need something more big and more grand. Well, when you get consistent at this, when you finish kindergarten, we'll go to the first grade. So that's kind of how if you have to look at it because it's those very large um, goals sometimes can be I don't say they're unrealistic, but let's crawl before we walk. So these are things that I know that you can incorporate in your day. Consistency matters. Trying to get in at least 150 minutes of activity every week. That's what American Heart Association says to be heart healthy. But as we've mentioned, it's not just about cardio, it's also about strength training. Okay. That's also very important. Strength and endurance are something that builds gradually over time, which speaks to why consistency matters more. You can't exercise in 3 days what it took the weight of 3 years for you to gain. Okay. And I know there are things like Wegovy and those injectables, those will help you lose fat. They do not help you build muscle. Okay. So losing some of the excess fat will be helpful, yes. But the muscle gain, that's the part that's really going to help you be strong and sustainable. That's what we want to get to. So let's get some healthy habits. Start absurdly small. See, absurdly small. That's okay. One simple habit. Um, Link it to existing routines, track your progress. I like to use the fitness app in my iPhone I like to see the circles close. Like when I do my 60 minutes of activity, I like to see the circles close or the 20 minutes of walking. I like to see the circles close. And then as you start to do that, expand gradually. And then just know that it's important to celebrate small wins. When I've gone through the week and all my rings are closed on my fitness app, I'm happy. I'm a happy camper. And here I'm going to show off. Hold on. Let me see my fitness app. I'm going to show you because this is something that see, can you see my fitness apps? You see those all those circles? I'm doing it. I'm walking. I might be walking outside. I might go exercise somewhere. Believe me, these are not all like, oh my gosh, she's in the gym every day. They're not. I'm just outdoor walking. I'm at the grocery store and I'm walking. I'm being purposeful. I go grocery shop with my son and he has a cart. He's like, Mom, where are you going? I'm like, I'm gonna go do a lap. I'll be right back. Boom. It's okay. So start where you are. A healthier year starts exactly where you are. Choose one pillar, take a tiny action, and then commit to 7 days. I think you could do that. You are well worth the 7 days of committing to your health. And who knows, right? I'm not here to quantify it, but just in the back of my mind when I'm exercising, if I feel a little uncomfortable, I was like, Alice, come on, if you can just get through this 30 minutes, who knows? That 30 minutes might be another month of a healthy life. It might be another, and that's what I tell myself in my brain to help keep me motivated and keep me going. Because I want to see grandkids. I don't have any grandkids yet. Um, and we went through these stages already, so I won't go through that. Um, and when your motivation fades, remember this. On low energy days, do the smallest version of a habit. Something is always better than nothing. You're like, I'm too tired. I can't walk 30 minutes. Walk 10, 10 minutes. And even if that means you just walk over the perimeter of your house, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go to the gym because it will happen. This happens to everyone. And here are some healthy habits. Plan ahead, remove friction. Take out I put all my gym clothes out the day before. I get my gym bag together. I got my bottled water, got my protein powder, and I'm ready to go. So when the alarm clock goes, there's no excuse. It's all there. Shoes by the door. Find support. Uh, AARP has a wonderful walking group. If you haven't joined us already, the Soul Steppers, join the Soul Steppers for their activities. But then you're surrounded with community. You'll get motivated, and you look forward to engaging in the activity. And then tracking your activity as well is good to know too. So healthy habits are a powerful tool at every age. At every age, and remember, it's never too late to start. And the day you start is the day you meet your healthier new you. So that concludes my presentation. And also want to invite you, please, 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 join us for our next Healthy Living Series webinar. It's going to be Valentine's themed a little bit. Love Your Heart, the latest on heart health. So there's been some updates and some guidelines on the heart health, and we're going to be talking about that and ways to keep your heart healthy. So that concludes my time. I know I was trying to be done sooner, but I'll stay on for questions. I'll stay on for questions.
Thank you, Nurse Alice. And if anyone has any questions, like Nurse Alice said, she'll stay on and answer. You can either drop them in the chat, which I'm taking a look at now, or if you feel confident and courageous, you can come off mute. But chat is good too. Chat is good.
Okay.
Any questions? Let's see here.
Oh, they would like the
Uh,
link to the heart health presentation. Can we put that in the chat box so if someone wants to register for it now, they can go ahead.
oh, okay. Yeah, let me I will find that link and drop that in the chat.
And these are
Uh
recorded, so you can watch. If you can't make it the day of, you can watch the replay, right?
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
it will be on a YouTube channel. When you go to YouTube, look for AARP California and it will be there.
Yes.
Uh
And share it with your friends. Share it with your friends, your
yep,
family,
all
coworkers,
are invited
members.
from anywhere because it's on Zoom, so you don't have to be in California or in the LA area. You can be anywhere to be able to participate in these sessions. Trying to find the link. Here we go. All right, I'm going to put the link to the registration page in the chat where you will be able to see all of the Healthy Living series sessions with Nurse Alice, as well as the Soul Stepper sessions if folks are interested in that as well. Okay.
I'm looking through the chat while you're doing that.
Okay.
Some tools. So these are ankle weights. These are 2 pounds. You can start at whatever you want to start at. 2 pounds is usually a good one to start. So if you think about it, two and two, you're going to add 4 pounds to your ankles. If you want to, sometimes you can just add. They're multi-use. You can add them to your wrists and do whatever, however you want to lift your arm up. I have resistance bands. Those seem to be some of the most simplest things that you can take anywhere. Even if you were gonna let's say go to the grocery store, who's to say you can't wear ankle weights in the grocery store? I count all my steps. I went to the store the other day, like I said, with my son. He was down one aisle, I said, I'll be back. And I walked down the aisle and I got in 30 minutes of walking at the store. So sometimes you have to be creative, especially with a limited amount of time. You're like, oh, I don't have time to do this. Well, I don't have time to exercise and go to the store. So I'm going to exercise while I'm at the store. Um, so thank you. I've read all the comments. Susan's wishing me a bunch of grandkids. Now, Susan, I don't know that I want that many grandkids. Okay. Maybe like three or four. I got four boys. So But yeah, those will definitely keep me running around the house. Um, yeah, but I thoroughly enjoy these presentations. My mantra is I like to talk to people before they become my patients, and I am always a friend of AARP and the community. We
Yes.
want to make sure we're giving you the tools and the resources that you need and want to help you feel empowered about your health, and then also equip you with some things that you can take to your healthcare provider to ask them about. Maybe ask them like, what do you think about me adding a protein shake to my regimen, or what do you think about based on if you're someone on here who's had a DEXA scan, which checks your bone density, like, based on my less density, my DEXA scan, what do you think about, walking around with ankle weights, or what kind of activities would you recommend that I do to preserve my bone, to improve my bone density? Because you can improve it. You can improve it. Well, research shows that you can improve it with some activity. Now, how much you can prove that's, you can't completely reverse it, but you definitely can preserve it and slow it down with the activities.
Yeah.
Oh,
In the series, the link that I put in the chat, it takes you to a page where you will see the Soul Stepper sessions and also the entire series for with Nurse Alice, Healthy Living series with Nurse Alice for the whole year. So
yeah.
you can register for all the ones that you would like to attend. And someone mentioned, I know, I mentioned today's session is being recorded and it will be dropped into the YouTube channel, but then every session will be recorded and dropped into the YouTube channel.
All right.
All right. Well, if there are no other questions, thank you all again. Thanks for the extra 5 minutes. And hopefully, we will see you on February 24th, 10 a.m. at the very least.
All right. Have a wonderful day, guys.
And thank you, Nurse Alice. All right, you all. Have a good rest of your day. I'm trying to close this out. Here we go.